Shooting has left many of us with so many questions, and the gunman and possible motivations of everything involved there, and some of these answers we may never get.
Yeah, but if anybody can help us, it is the Dean of Arts and Sciences at Johns Hopkins University and the author of the book, The Social Roots of School Shootings. Dr. Katherine Newman joins us this morning on the phone to figure this all out. Good morning and thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Let's start with the difference. Obviously, this has affected so many of us because it was an elementary school. But as far as the shooter goes and the circumstances of this, what's different from other school shootings that we've seen in the past?
Most of the school shootings we studied involved people who were inside the school because they were supposed to be there. This is one of those events where there was an intruder from the outside, much like the case in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania in 2006, where a man came into an Amish school and found his victims there. These are differences that actually matter in interpreting the motive of the shooter, but for most people, it looks like a very strong family resemblance between all of these terrible tragedies.
Which is what?
That they involve people who shoot innocent victims that they don't know, and who are, enacting a kind of rage against the communities in which they live.
And Doctor, to that, it seems like is there a common thread that exists between these shooters, loners versus failed joiners, those people who might just be seen as social outcasts? Do they carry any common theme?
Well, the theme of social outcast is a common one for most of them. They often do they usually suffer from forms of mental illness, not because people who are mentally ill are violent, but because people who are violent are often mentally ill. But this is a particular kind of disturbance in which the shooter is looking to change the way the rest of us see him. They don't just commit suicide. They want to go out in a blaze of anti-hero glory where we will forever remember their names in a way that's a sort of reverse of the traditional hero, but we will remember them, and they don't want to be remembered the way they are, as misfits or people who couldn't find a niche in our society. They prefer to be remembered as anti-heroes.
Dr. Newman, let me ask you about that, because we've struggled as a newsroom what to do with this, because we certainly don't want to glorify somebody who did something so terrible, but I think there is the question a lot of times, how do you handle something like this? Do you have any suggestions as somebody who wrote a book about this and has done so much research, how we do this so we don't glorify killers, so hopefully there won't be a next time and people won't be tempted to do something like this for the glory?
It's a very good question and a very difficult needle to thread, because what we really need to prevent these shootings is for kids who hear rumors about the intentions of the shooter, which they often do, to come forward. They wouldn't come forward if they didn't know these things really happen, and the media is the mechanism by which they learn that it's possible. So some degree of public attention is necessary for kids to understand that. But the liability, as you point out, is that it creates this glorified or certainly attention-receiving figure, and that does drive a lot of this violence.
All right, Dr. Katherine Newman with Johns Hopkins University, thank you for your time this morning.